Hey folks, Rob here, and I done something I didn't think I'd ever do. Bubba, you rubbed off on me. You're truly now a social influencer. So, because you've caused me to do something I probably would have never done, and that's own a Glock. I've had Glocks in the past, but I never keep them. They're just not, I just don't care for them. I'm not saying they're not great guns. Their reputation says they are. So anyway, we picked up this Glock 17 Classic, and one of the reasons I picked it up, and if you don't want to hear my story, just skip ahead, because you know I tend to have to explain things, and that's just the way it is on my channel. And if you don't like it, just go on to another video. But the reason I wanted this one is because back in about 87, probably 80s, these started coming in 86, probably around 87. Our old buddy John was the first person I ever know to own one of these. And he got one of the Gen 1s, as it was called then, just the Glock 17. There was no Gens because it was the only 17 there was. And I remember us taking that thing down to the range, and I had a Ruger P something, P89 or P9, no, it was probably a P89. And John and I used to shoot these guns, and I'd shoot my Ruger and he'd shoot to his Glock, and we would just try to see what we could get to shoot through those guns. We'd pick up stuff off the ground, buried rounds, just whatever we could find to put in the guns. And if they would, if they were still live and would go off, his Glock would shoot it, but also my Ruger would shoot it. So, but that is the first Glock 17 that I ever shot, the first generation, and that's probably the only one I've ever shot. Matter of fact, after John got rid of his, I really never seen another Glock, just plain old 17, never owned one, never particularly cared to have one. But, you know, this just brings back memories of, you know, a pastime when me and my buddy would get together and go shoot, and, you know, this is what he had. And he has been a Glock fan ever since then. Me, not so much, you know. So anyway, we got here the new Glock 17 Classic. Now what this is basically a remake of the original Glock. This is the one that Gaston Glock come out with. Initially it was called the P80, and that was the one that went to the Austrian military. And the civilian version was the Glock 17, which was his 17th patent. So inside the box here, you got your, you know, you got your manual and all that stuff that's in it. We ain't interested in that. And then you got, here is your certificate of authenticity, so to show that this is, you know, a genuine, and it's signed by Gaston Glock, and, you know, as much as a signature can be. I think ain't he even dead right now. So anyway, and it tells a little bit about it on the back. And there's your original Glock 17 in its original Tupperware case that, heck, if you can find one now, they cost as much as, you know, some guns. Okay, and then you have your lock here. So it's got this overbox so that they can get everything in this. And then inside here, well, I didn't snap the lid back on good. But it's got your original Glock Tupperware box. And here in the bottom, it's got your original sticker that would have been on this box. That's how it would have come back in 86 when they first started importing these. So anyway, let's throw all this back in there, because that's really not of interest to it. Let's set our box aside. Got a nice magnetic box there. Pretty classy looking presentation. So inside here we got our Glock 17. We got our speed loader. We got an extra 17 round mag. Now these are Gen 5 mags. These are not the original mags. The original mags were not drop free. So this gun is an upgraded version. Aesthetically, it pretty well looks like a genuine Glock 17 from back in '86, but it does have a lot of improvements internally that make it more in line with the Glock Gen 3. So you have your little small. It's got this pebble. It's kind of smooth, but it's not really either. It's not terribly smooth. It's not as aggressive as most guns you buy today, but it does feel pretty good in the hand. This gun is unloaded. We are unloaded. Now this gun is used. I bought it. I got it used, and but it appears to have been shot very little. So you have the original release here, the magazine release. You have your original Glock sights, which hasn't changed since they started making the thing, and you have your flat ejector here. If you know, the newer ones have a little bump on them so that when it's loaded, you can see just a little tab of red there. And this has the original flat mainspring. And these are all serial numbered. This is a 2400th and first gun, and they're marked Gen 1. And these made in Austria. So these are actually made in Austria. These are an Austrian made gun. So you got your Glock emblem right here. It's just a typical Glock 17. This one seems to point a little better for me than the newer versions. The grip doesn't seem quite as pronounced right here as some of the newer versions. Let's take this thing apart and check it out internally and see what we got going on inside. Glocks, I always have trouble getting them apart. There we go. So, guys, we actually still got the packing, the gray, the kind of lube they use, that colored lube. You got a captured mainspring housing where the original would have just had a guide rod with and it would have just fit in there, kind of like a 1911. Got plenty of oil on the barrel, and I don't know if this is polygonal rifling. Yeah, this is polygonal rifle. So this is not the new type of Glock barrels that some Glocks have now, where I don't know. I think they call them the marksman's barrel or something. Anyway, this is a polygonal rifle barrel, and it is doesn't look to appear to be in shot much. Let's wipe a little bit of that oil off of it so we can get a look at it here. It's well oiled. So yeah, look at that. This gun has been shot next to none. You got your frame here. Just looks like a Glock Gen 3 basically. But there's a look inside. Structurally it looks like any other Glock. We do have a lot of oil in it. The guy I got it off of was definitely oiling it up good. So anyway, there's a look at it. That's to reassemble it and put it back together. The machining's really good on this one. Yeah, it's got that copper grease still in it. So this gun can't have been shot a whole lot, or I think we would have had some of that gone by now. So install your guide rod, put it back on, function test. Let's get out our trigger pull gauge and see what it says. It says it's got a 5.5 pound disconnector in it, so let's see how close we are to that 5.5 pounds. Let's turn on our pride fin trigger gauge here and see what we get. .9. Gotta get that 4.5. Gotta get that blade safety in there. 5.7. 3.4. 3.13. So actually this is not, you got your take up there just like all Glock triggers, and a little bit of creep, it breaks clean. That's actually a pretty good trigger for a Glock. Not bad. But that gave us a 5-shot group of, or a total of 4 pounds 8 ounces. So that's what we averaged on those 5 shots, 4.8. So not bad, and it don't feel extremely hard. Now this does not have the original Tenifer finish like the, you know, the newer gun or some of the older guns, or the Gen 1. It's I forget what they call it, NDS, and it's not Tenifer, but it's got a nice finish on it. The gun is in really decent shape. So anyway, guys, I thought we'd take a look at this. And Bubba, he caused me to get a Glock. So consider yourself a social influencer now. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. You know, it's a banner day at Hamilton Outdoors when we get 2 guns in one day. So anyway, I did trade one of my PSA daggers for this. One of them that was set up pretty good. So got a decent trade on it. So I'm tickled, and I appreciate y'all watching, and I'm glad y'all to come watch my videos, and I appreciate y'all, and until the next video, we'll see you guys later.